Well, hey there, welcome to my house of cards. My name's Hoodlie, and today we're gonna go over my current build of Trap Heavy BA. Why not PK Fire? I don't know. I like trap cards. I think they're neat, and I'm glad they're kind of coming back into relevance. This is the kind of deck that I find interesting. Visually, they're not my favorite, but they are I can't deny they have had a very long-lasting legacy in the game, so I figured I would try them out by making a very heavy, trap-focused build where I just kind of like ramp up my resources and control them with my back row. Hopefully they don't use Harpy's Feather Duster, and yeah, you probably know what BAs do by now, but if you don't, here's what they are. They're a bunch of level 3 fiends, and they all have effects when they're sent to the graveyard, by whatever means. Also, you can special summon them from your hand if you don't have any back row, which I know seems a bit contradictory, but we don't really use that effect too often. Also, if there are no Burning Abyss monsters on the field, or like you have a non-Burning Abyss monster on the field, they blow themselves up, because I guess they can't imagine there being anything other than these very freaky demon people that don't look like Yu-Gi-Oh cards at all. Like, look at these. These look like Magic the Gathering cards. Like, I've never understood. I've never understood their art style. It's weird, but whatever. If you again like the other deck profiles I've made, this isn't really something that you have to stick exactly to. This is more like a, hey, if you're interested in the deck, maybe take a look at this. You could maybe get inspired to be like, oh, hey, maybe I could do that and these and those for these and that and these for those. And just kind of mix it up yourself. I don't know. I'm just some idiot on the internet who likes card games. So let's just go over this. And also, if you want to see this in action, let me know and I'll record some duels or something. Starting with the recently put to 3 Cir Malabranch of the Burning Abyss. They're all Malabranches of the Burning Abyss. It's a tree. It's a tree in the Burning Abyss with Malabranches everywhere. But anyway, yeah, Cir. His effect when sent to grave is that you can target a Burning Abyss monster in your grave except himself and special summon it. That's all he does. A lot of these effects sound super underwhelming, but when they actually get going, they can be a pretty formidable little resource control deck. Next up, we have one copy of Calcab. If it's sent to the grave, you can target a set spell or trap on the field and return it to the hand. Not massively useful, but, it's kind of like I could do that in very specific situations. And that's perfectly fine. A lot of the time, these are just useful in specific situations. That's why it's such a good thing that Cir and Graff are back at 3, because they're just really good for the deck itself. The others are like mostly useful in various situations. They're like a weird toolbox of weird demon people. Next up, we have Livic. When he's sent to the grave, you can special summon one level 3 Dark Fiend from your hand, but its effects are negated, meaning if you summon a BA and you have something like this one on field, then it won't blow itself up. Most of the monsters we have are BA, so we don't really have to worry too much about him being blown up until we get into the extra deck. Those are like pretty much not Burning Abyss, so it's useful for when you want to get another resource on field, but you don't want it to blow up. Then we have a Lich. I mean, yeah, sure, that looks like a Lich. If it's sent to the grave, you can target a face-up monster on the field and negate its effects until the end of the turn. We do have ways to send it to the grave during our opponent's turn, so that's just fantastic. It's really useful. You can play it at 3 if you want. I'm not sure I would recommend it, but you can. Swap out some hand traps or some of the other traps you don't think are really necessary. Try this out. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. I'm not an expert in this deck. I just think it's fun. Then we have 2 Farfa. If it's sent to the grave, you can target a monster on the field and banish it until the end phase, which is a nice kind of way to spot remove something. It's not permanent, but it gets rid of it for the turn if you need to go in for some big damage. Send it to the grave, get rid of a problem monster, just so you can run in with a bunch of damage with the extra deck monsters, so it's pretty useful. Then we have 3 copies of the also recently put to 3 Graff. Look at this Graff. If it's into the grave, you can special summon a Burning Abyss from the deck, except itself. Again, most of these effects seem super underwhelming, but they're pretty good in action. Next up, we have Skarm. Are those nails? Does he really need to trim his nails or something? It looks like he does. If it's into the grave, during the end phase of the turn, you can add a level 3 Dark Fiend from your deck to your hand, except himself. Meaning every Burning Abyss, along with this thing, except not because it's Earth. What I meant is that you can get Tour Guide from the Underworld, you can also get Sangan if you want. So yeah, just pretty useful for searching out the pieces you need for next turn, because this deck is a lot about the next turn. Like, next turn I'm gonna summon more BAs and make a bigger monster, and then I'm gonna punch. I'm gonna punch and deal lots of damage. That's the idea. Then we have the tuner monster, Rubik. No, I'm not playing Needle Fiber, or Palky Falky as I like to call him. Its only effect is that it can't be used as material for a Synchro summon, except for a Burning Abyss, which there's only one of those. Why don't they have more Burning Abyss Synchro monsters? That'd be cool. All we have is Virgil. I mean, Virgil's cool, but like I'd like another one. That'd be cool. A new level 6 Synchro. That'd be nice. And it just has the same special summon effect as the others. So I guess their idea was that it doesn't have a graveyard effect because it's a tuner and it can just summon itself. If you have another BA, you can immediately make this thing. But that's just super restrictive for something that can only be used to synchro summon one monster. It's weird. And that's it for all the BA monsters. You can mess around with the ratios and the different kinds. So yeah, just feel free to use this more as a guide to be like, hey, I want to get into BA. Here's a very simple deck list to get you started. Next up, we have 3 copies of Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Pretty much all it does is prevent your BAs from exploding. That's it. They can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, including their own. Why they blow up, I don't know. But he basically says, nah, you could just summon all the BAs you want, man. You don't have to worry about them blowing up. I'll watch them, man. It's cool. Also, if it's into the graveyard, you can send one fiend from the deck to the grave except itself. This effect is a hard once per turn, which is redundant for me to say because the other effect is continuous. So it just lets you, hey, you sent a thing? Cool, send another thing. Alright, you got an effect, that's cool. Yay! Then we also have Dante's waifu. Tour Guide from the Underworld. You know what she does. You know her. You love her. I don't need to explain it. We also have Ash Blossom. Just cause. Also, it's level 3, so... Sure. We also have any effect you want. Like, that's all it does. Decks like this are why Foolish Burial is at 1. Like, there are just so many graveyard effects. It's insane. And then for the trap cards, which is the bread and butter of this deck. The bread and butter that's on fire. Got Imperm, because it's Imperm. I know I include this in a lot, but that's just because it's a decently generic thing for going first or second, and it fits very well in trap-heavy builds like this. I just wish it cost less for once. Why does it have to still be $25 or something? That's ridiculous. We also have Fire Lake of the Burning Abyss. Yeah, they didn't just fall into a burning ring of fire, they fell into a burning ring of fire that's surrounding a giant lake of fire. All it says is send 2 face of Burning Abyss monsters you control in the grave, and then target up to 3 cards on the field to destroy them. Is this insanely practical? Probably not, but I think it's funny, so... That's the main reason I'm playing it. I just think it's funny. I'm playing it too. It's also not once per turn, so like if you can get more Burning Abyss monsters on the field, you can just keep doing stuff. It'd be nice if you could send from your hand, but like, that's reasonable. We also have 1 Paleozoic Dynamiscus. Target a face-up monster, target a face-up card on the field, discard a card, meaning that will trigger these things, and then banish the card you targeted. Also, if it's in the grave when you activate another trap card, you get to special summon it and then use it as material for all of your sweet extra deck monsters. So that's just pretty cool. We also have Fiend Griefing. Target a monster your opponent's graveyard, shuffle it into the deck, then you can send a fiend from the deck to the grave, like a very weird version of Foolish Burial mixed with DD Crow. It's a very weird card, but yeah, just nice graveyard disruption on top of being able to dump a card, so that's cool. Karma Cut, target a face of monster your opponent controls, banish it, then banish all cards with the same name as that monster from your opponent's graveyard. Super useful. Just, man, this card is good. And it's old. It's like super old. Do you know how old this card is? It's really old. I'm surprised you can still use it. That's the thing about a lot of these old traps. Like, they're still very powerful. People just, I guess they just fell out of favor at some point. But Karma Cut, nah. This thing's really solid, and it makes you discard, meaning you get Burning Abyss effects. So that's nice. And then Trap Trick to just get whatever you want. Then going into the extra deck, which is the main reason you're playing all these BA monsters, we got Cherubini. I explained this in my my pure PK deck quest profile. If you want to go check that out, I don't recommend it, but you can. Monsters it points to can't be destroyed by card effects, meaning it protects your Burning Abyss monsters from themselves because they're stupid. If this card would be destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, send another card you control to the grave instead. Trigger BA monster. You're not leaving this on field. You know why? Because it foolishes a level 3 monster. Meaning you can send things that will summon another thing, which let you get more things to make big things with. And that's the only reason you play this. It's a good extender. You also got Masquerena to summon things on your opponent's turn. We got Nightmare Cerberus. Just the nightmares in general because they're good spot removal. Appaloosa to negate things. We got 2 big angry gun dragons. But why aren't these machines? They look more like machines than dragons. Machine dragons. We also got 2 copies of Dante from the Devil May Cry series. Something to summon your banished dudes if you banish things so that you can make things with them. Phantom Knight's a break sword to pop stuff and just generally get your effects going. Foolish Burial on legs that you can summon on top of Dante. That sounds weird out of context. And then Virgil, rock star of the Burning Abyss. You can tell he's a rock star because his guitar is on fire. That's a lute. Since when is a lute a rock instrument? Whatever. You can only have one of them. Once per turn, you can discard a Burning Abyss card, then target a monster your opponent controls or in their grave, shuffle it in to the deck. Super good. And again, you'll probably get some kind of advantage. If this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the grave, draw 1 card. That's all it does. It's cool. I like it. You don't have to run it, but you can get it pretty easily with Rubik and any Burning Abyss monster, or just Tour Guide, so I like it. And also, Big Dante. You're never fusion summoning this, you're just using it because when Beatrice leaves the field, I think, yeah, if it's destroyed, you can summon this thing, and can't be targeted, which is pretty awesome. And as a quick effect, you can send a Burning Abyss card from your hand to the grave to draw 1 card. Not as impactful as Virgil, but still pretty strong. If this card is destroyed and sent to the grave, or if this card you control is sent to the grave by an opponent's card effect, send a random card from your opponent's hand to the grave. So not as impactful as some of the other monsters, but that's just the thing. This deck is old, but it's still kicking. It's still kicking with all the hot fire, spicy, whatever. I don't know where I was going with this. But that's basically the deck. It's definitely more oriented towards slowly building up your forces until you can just go in with all the attack power you want while controlling the field with a bunch of trap cards, because trap cards are efficient. You just activate them and then something happens that would usually take you like 3 other monsters to get the same effect on a monster. So I'm glad they've come back in favor so I can build a deck like this where a lot of it is traps, and that's totally fine. I think it's cool. The side deck, I didn't really put a lot of thought into, but I definitely recommend putting some going second cards because this is a very heavy go first deck that you need to go first so that you can set your back row and summon your things to prepare for the next turn and then the turn after that. Again, like most decks I make, this isn't the strongest, but I think it's fun and I think it's decent. And if you have any suggestions on how to improve it, or you would like to see this in action, let me know in the comments down below. But that's the deck. Thanks for joining me here at my house of cards. I'm glad you came, and I'll see you next time. Bye.